So today I thought I would make a Mohawk recipe in honor of Saint Kateri Tekakwitha, who is often called the Lily of the Mohawks because she was a virgin. She's a very interesting story. Her parents passed away from smallpox when she was young. She survived, but she had scars all over her face because of it, and she veiled her face, or her face covered up because of it, for the rest of her life. When she was 11 years old, she made the acquaintance of 3 Jesuit priests who taught her about the Catholic faith, and she became absolutely enamored of it and dedicated her life to Jesus and to learning more about the Catholic faith. She was the first Native American saint. She was the first Native American saint to be canonized, and she was beatified by Pope John Paul II and canonized by Pope Benedict XVI. And her feast day is this month, the month of July, so I thought it'd be fun to make a recipe honoring Saint Kateri. So I'm so glad you're here with me. Today we're going to be making Mohawk Corn Soup, and this recipe looks so good and I can't wait to try it. And I hope that you try it too. Well, assuming that it works out, we'll see. So I'm going to peel, all the typical veggies for making a soup or a stew. So I'm going to do 3 stalks of celery, and I'm going to do 3 very large carrots, and I'm going to do 1 onion, medium onion, and then it calls actually for rutabaga, but our store did not have rutabaga today. So I'm just going to use, instead of that, I'm going to use 1 turnip, and I'm going to use 1 medium potato instead of the rutabagas. Get these all peeled, and kind of like usually use that too because we're making soup. My mom was a big fan of Saint Kateri, and it's interesting because the church that I grew up in here in Chicago, which is St. Benedict's, is kind of like the center of Native American Catholics here in Chicago. And there is the Kateri Center that has been part of the parish now for, I don't know, maybe like 20 years. And there are some Native American Catholic seniors who live there in the, it's actually one of the old convent buildings at St. Benedict where the nuns lived that taught at the schools of St. Benedict, back in the day. My mom was actually a teacher at St. Benedict Elementary School back in the 1950s when she started out teaching 4th and 5th grade. So it's kind of cool. So one of the residents there is, if you're familiar with Native American music, and especially Native American flutes, one of the most well-known Native American flute players in the United States, Bill Allison, lives at the Kateri Center at my church at St. Benedict. And when my mom passed away in 2018, he was kind enough to play at my mom's funeral. So it was really very nice. He played along with the organist and the pianist, and the choir was singing. So it was really, really nice with those beautiful haunting melodies, those beautiful haunting sounds. So it was very special. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. And we have a beautiful statue of Saint Kateri that's normally in the Kateri Center at St. Benedict's, but this time of year for the feast of Saint Kateri is usually brought into the church so that everybody can remember to pray for Saint Mary, ask
St. Kateri to intercede for them. And it's just a kind of a beautiful way to keep St. Kateri as a close friend in our lives. So I'm just chopping all of this stuff up, you know, very roughly. I would not get good points for like the, you know, the knife cuts and everything being all even. I'm just not very good at that. Gonna keep doing some more carrots here. We got these huge carrots. You guys, I don't know if you have gardens. It's July. I have not had a garden in a long time because we've lived in an apartment here in Chicago for many years. And I don't know, it's like 17 years now, I think. So I was very fortunate because my mom lived just a couple blocks away from here. I hurt myself here. And she had a beautiful garden in the back of her house. And she let me take care of it. Well, I guess, I mean, she was glad that I took care of it, so she didn't have to. But that's how really I learned about plants. I learned how to garden was really from, you know, taking care of my mom's garden. And my husband and I, we really spent a lot of time taking care of my mom's garden. And really, we would get really interesting plants, not only from the local nurseries, but also from my cousin who has a seed company called Seeds of the Prairie, which she sells all kinds of really great organic seeds that are from the Midwest. And actually, I'll put a link to her website if you guys are interested in some really nice seeds. She's been in business for a long time now, and so we always have, but she just had plant sales every year too. So we would get some great plants from her and her sisters and her dad. So yeah, it was really fun, but I haven't had a garden now since my mom passed away because the house was sold and torn down, unfortunately. So yeah. We've been looking for a house for a couple of years, and I'm hoping we're going to get our house out in the boonies finally, like we've been wanting to for many years. So maybe pretty soon, maybe I'll have a garden again. So that would be nice. So now I've got an onion. I've got my carrots and the celery. I've got an onion here. And I'm just going to talk and keep doing this. I know it's not like very professional to make you watch all of this, but I'm just going to chat with you. It's just a nice Sunday afternoon. And I know that a lot of people, including, I guess this is a popular dish with among Native Americans, especially the Mohawk people. So it's a Sunday. This is a popular Sunday dish, I have heard. So this is a nice lazy Sunday afternoon that I'm making my Mohawk Stew or my Mohawk Corn Soup. I've also seen it called Corn Stew, and I've also just seen it called Mohawk Stew. And I'm gonna start crying from these onions. Oh my gosh, I always cry so bad. Just a rough chop again. Okay. Let me just get rid of these. I'm going to keep those carrot ends for stock. And now I have to cut. I have to peel this turnip, which is not that easy. Oh, it's not that bad. Not as easy as a potato because it's very waxy. I'm crying. Just the tears are just streaming down my face. That's okay. Oh, gosh. Sorry, guys. Oh my goodness, it's really, really, really pungent. Oh, good. Excuse me. You need to just stare my eyes here. Woo, that is pungent. Okay, and we're back. Okay, we're almost done with this turnip. And like I said, then after this is supposed to be a rutabaga. But, you know, I had 2 rutabagas sitting in my refrigerator for too long. I was planning on making something else, and I can't remember what it was now. I don't usually buy rutabagas, but by the time, and then I was like, I saw this recipe and I said, oh, rutabaga, great. And I went in the fridge, dug in the back of the fridge, and it was too late. They had passed over, shall we say. So those went in the stock pot pile. Let me just wash my hands since all right, last thing is one potato. Again, since I didn't have the rutabagas, and I only have one turnip. So I'm gonna, and this is a green potato, so I'm not gonna use that one. I'll use this one instead. So I was supposed to have, I think, 3 or 2 cups of rutabaga, so I'm gonna use the turnip and the potato instead. And I think any kind of root vegetable, you could also probably use celery root if you had that around. You could use like the Japanese radish if you had some of those. I don't know what kind of stuff you guys have in your stores or what you're growing in your garden, but anything like that that's similar. Okay, so those are done. So now I'm gonna dice these up into little chunks. And again, this is really supposed to be a soup rather than a stew, so I'm going to make them into small pieces. And honestly, I'm just going to dump all of this in there together and just saute it for a couple minutes. So I'm not even going to keep this stuff separate. I'm just going to put it all together. I really haven't had Native American food. I think only in certain parts of the country do the people, not Native people, really go to restaurants and find Native food. The only thing I've ever eaten is an Indian taco. I don't know if you guys have ever had an Indian taco. It's like a regular taco with like seasoned meat and beans, like in a sauce. But it's not in a tortilla. It's on something called fried bread, which is what it sounds like. It's like a round bread, like a tortilla or a pita bread, but it's fried in oil, like kind of deep fried. So it's like puffy and crispy. And it's really good. And I had it when my husband and I during the pandemic, we went to South Dakota because everything was open. And I had never been to the Badlands. So we went, our daughter had already gone with him a couple of years before, but I had not gone. I had stayed home because my mom was still alive. So I stayed home to take care of her. But I always wanted to go, so we went. And when we first we were going to Mount Rushmore, so whatever town that is, I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But we stopped there when we got into town. It was evening, and so we had dinner at this old saloon, and they had Indian tacos on the menu. So I had one. It's delicious. But I just read recently that a lot of Native Americans are boycotting Indian tacos, even though they grew up eating them, because they say that was something they were forced to make when their ancestors were removed from their lands because they no longer had access to, the natural foods. So they had to make stuff with the provisions that were given them, by the government. So a lot of people get kind of angry about Indian tacos, but a lot of them are like, whatever, they're still good, they're still really good. It's like something they grew up eating from their childhood. So I guess it kind of depends who you're talking to. And I am opening up with my very bad can opener a large can of hominy. This is white corn, and this also comes dried, so if you wanted to cook it yourself, you could. If you can't find this, you can just use yellow corn also. And then a small can of pinto beans. And I'll put the recipe in the description so you can see it. So I'm going to drain these and I'll be right back. Gotta get my colander. And I'm going to rinse those too. Okay, so now I think we have everything chopped up that we need. But if you think this is vegetarian, you're wrong. It's actually got absolutely delicious pork in it. Now, this is supposed to be pork stew, but I didn't have pork. They didn't have pork stew, and I didn't. The pork tenderloin was very expensive, so we just got some pork chops that were on sale. These do have bones in them, and all I'm going to do, since this is not tenderloin, I'm going to cut it up into little pieces, and then little cubes. And of course, trim off the bones and the fat. And I'm just gonna sear the cubes all around, and then it's gonna cook and get tender in the soup. So now I am gonna cut away for a minute so I can prepare the meat, and then I'm gonna just get these veggies sauteing as well after I brown the meat, and then I'll come back with you. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so this is what everything looks like so far. So I diced up the pork chops, and I put in all the vegetables, and I'm just kind of getting a little bit of softness on them. I know I should have done it separately, but I didn't feel like it. So to this now, I also had, one of the pork chops had a big piece of bone in it, so I'm just going to put that in there as well. And then we're going to add to this our beans and hominy or corn, whatever you have. And then I'm going to add a box of chicken stock. And I'm going to add enough water so that it's kind of covered. Because we're going to cook this for a couple of hours. And then I'm going to add black pepper, and I'm going to add salt, and that's all I'm going to add. You know, I think when we think of, I know me, when I think of Native American, I think of like Southwest, and I think of spicy food, but this is just salt and pepper. And, of course you can put whatever you want in it, but I'm just trying to make it according to the recipe as closely as possible and see what it tastes like. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this because I used low sodium chicken stock. And when we eat this, I'll probably taste it, and then I'll probably put like half a cup of hot sauce in it, some chili flakes, maybe some nutmeg or allspice. But this is it, guys. This is what it's supposed to be. So I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it down to simmer and cover it, and I'm going to cook it for an hour and then give it a stir, and I'm going to cook it for another hour, and then I'm going to come back and show you what our Mohawk stew looks like in honor of Saint Kateri Tekakwitha. So come right back and check it out. Well, this is what our delicious Mohawk stew or corn soup looks like. Isn't that gorgeous? It's so colorful. It's so summery. It looks just wonderful, and it smells absolutely divine. So we're going to serve this up, and I'm going to take a taste and tell you what it tastes like. All right, you guys, here we are. Look at this beautiful bowl of Mohawk stew. You can see all the wonderful vegetables and that delicious pork in here. I've heard this broth is to die for, so let's taste that first. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I joked about having that I would probably put all kinds of hot sauce and stuff in here later, but I am not going to because it's perfect just as it is. I'm going to try this, the hominy, the corn, because I've never cooked this before. Oh, it's so good. It's like It's almost like a bean. It's got the texture of a bean. And we've also got those wonderful pinto beans in here also. And the carrots and the turnips. One more bite. Mmm. Oh, did I try the pork? Let me try the pork. Hold on. Mmm. Seriously, you have to try this. It is so good. Whether fresh, beautiful for summertime or in cozy winter, this would be wonderful. Oh, fall. Any time of year, this would be just absolutely delightful. I just wanted to thank you for being here with me today on Ghosts in the Kitchen. I'll try to do more of these cooking shows going forward. I've been so busy. But, you know, today really reminded me why I named this show Ghosts in the Kitchen, because every time we go in the kitchen, you know, we have in there the ghosts of all of the people that taught us to cook, all of the different cultures that we have incorporated into our own cooking, all the places that we've been where we've come home and made recipes that we enjoyed when we were in different cities and towns, visiting different people. And I just really appreciate that. And I hope that you will continue to remember all of the people that haunt your own kitchen and come back and haunt mine too, because I love it when we're together. I hope you liked the recipe today, and please take a second to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below, especially if you make our Mohawk Stew, and I will see you next time on Ghosts in the Kitchen. I'm Ursula Bielski. Remember to pray for ghosts. See you next time. Bye.